Vampires, creatures of the night, legends whispered in the dark. They're in our movies, our TV shows, our books. But what if I told you that some people claim to be real-life vampires? Not just role players or gothic enthusiasts, but individuals who truly believe they need blood or energy to survive. From historical figures shrouded in mystery to modern-day individuals living in the shadows, these cases will make you question everything you thought you knew about vampires. Are they delusional, suffering from some undiagnosed illness? Or is there something more sinister lurking in the shadows? Let's uncover 6 real-life cases of people who claim to be vampires. But be warned, some of these stories are chilling. Picture this. New Orleans in the early 1900s, the French Quarter with its gaslights casting eerie shadows, jazz music drifting through the humid air. It's the perfect setting for a vampire story, right? And that's where we meet Jacque St. Now, Jacques was a man of mystery. He seemed to have endless wealth, threw these lavish parties at his mansion. But here's the thing, no one ever saw him eat. People started whispering about his ageless appearance, his strange habits. He claimed to be a descendant of the Count of St. Germain, a mysterious figure from the 1700s believed to be immortal.
I am a descendant of the Count of St. Germain.
The guy was seen in different centuries, always looking the same, but the whispers turned to screams when a woman, terrified and covered in bite marks, fled from his home claiming he tried to drink her blood. When the police searched his mansion, they found bottles filled with, you guessed it, human blood. Before they could question him, Jacques vanished. Some say he escaped to Europe, continuing his dark existence. Okay, this next story is seriously disturbing. This isn't about lavish parties and mysterious disappearances. This is about a real-life monster. Richard Chase, known as the Vampire of Sacramento, took things to a whole other level. He believed that his own blood was turning into powder, that he needed to replenish it with fresh blood to survive.
My blood is turning into powder. I need fresh blood to survive.
He wasn't throwing fancy dress-up parties, he was literally hunting people. In the late 1970s, he committed a string of gruesome murders in California, mutilating bodies, drinking their blood, even eating their organs. Richard Chase's crimes shocked the world, showing us the dark side of the human psyche, the terrifying reality of what happens when delusion turns deadly. Not all vampires crave blood. Some, like Michelle Belanger, claim to feed on something else entirely, human energy. Michelle is a self-proclaimed psychic vampire, and she doesn't need fangs or darkness to get her fill. She believes she absorbs energy from others, like a kind of psychic sponge, to sustain herself.
I absorb energy from others like a psychic sponge.
Michelle's not hiding in the shadows. She's written books about her experiences, been featured on TV shows about the paranormal, and even founded a group dedicated to psychic vampirism. She describes it as this kind of energy exchange, a way to connect with others on a deeper level. Is Michelle Belanger a true psychic vampire? Or is she just really good at convincing people, including herself, that she is? Chapter 4. The teen vampire cult Rod Ferrell.
Okay, you know those teen vampire movies, the ones with the brooding vampires in high school? This is like that, but in real life, and it's way darker.
In the 1990s, a kid named Rod Ferrell started a group that wasn't just playing dress-up. They called themselves vampires, and they weren't just drinking red juice from Dixie cups.
Rod, who called himself Visago, convinced his followers that he was a 500-year-old vampire. They performed rituals, drank each other's blood, and things took a deadly turn. In 1996, Rod and his followers murdered a couple in Florida, claiming it was part of a vampire initiation, a way to gain power. Was Rod Ferrell a delusional teenager who took things too far? Or was he just a manipulative kid who used this persona to control others?
Chapter 5. The modern-day vampire, Julia Caples.
In a world of technology and science, you'd think the idea of vampires would be left behind in the dusty pages of Gothic novels. But then you meet someone like Julia Caples, and your whole perspective shifts.
Julia, a woman from Pennsylvania, openly admits to drinking human blood. Not just a sip, not just on Halloween, but as a regular part of her life. For over 30 years.
Julia's donors aren't unwilling victims. They're volunteers, people who believe in the vampire lifestyle, who willingly let her cut them, with sterilized blades of course, so she can drink their blood.
Julia claims that drinking blood gives her energy, makes her feel more alive. Is it just an extreme lifestyle choice? Or is there something deeper, something darker at play? Is Julia Caples driven by a primal urge, a need that science can't explain? Chapter 6. The underground vampire community. What if I told you that there are entire communities of people who identify as vampires, who gather in secret, who live amongst us, hidden in plain sight? These aren't characters in a movie. These are real people living real lives with one very unusual secret. They call themselves real vampires, and they're more common than you might think. There are groups like the Atlanta Vampire Alliance and others around the world where people who claim to need blood or energy to function meet, share their experiences and support each other. They describe feeling physically drained if they don't feed, experiencing fatigue, headaches, even illness. Is this a real phenomenon, a medical condition that we don't yet understand, or is it a shared delusion, a case of mass hysteria? Chapter 7. Are vampires real? Vampires may be legends, but these real-life stories show that the myth still haunts the modern world. Whether they drink blood, steal energy, or live in the shadows, these individuals blur the line between folklore and reality. Some of these stories are just straight-up scary, like what happened with Richard Chase. It makes you wonder what drives a person to that level of darkness. Then you have people like Michelle and Julia who truly believe they need blood or energy to survive. Are they delusional, or could there be something more to it, something science hasn't discovered yet? So, what do you think? Are they deluded, or could vampires be real? Let me know in the comments below. If you love creepy stories like this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Heavenly Stories for more chilling tales. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe in the dark.